Should I still play the game or should I quit? Welcome everyone. Today is the day some people will have to think about answering this question, because what is coming in 9.2.5, we looked in the last couple of days a few things that will be added into the new patch, like the Mythic Plus new affix Shrouded and the new Fated system for the raid, but there is another thing that comes before all of that, which is the new introduced social contract that will be popping up on your screen as soon as you enter your character screen. So the TLDR of all of this is that it's essentially an easier to read, a simpler to read terms of service end user license agreement. You know those things when you get a new product, a new software, a new game, and you start scrolling down for 20 seconds and it never ends, and then at the end you just click accept. You don't even know what you accepted to. You might as well have been sold into slavery. You have no idea. Yeah, so Blizzard tried to give you a little bit of a snippet in a much easier to read form of what the social contract in the game is about, essentially, right? Now this was not too interesting because many of these things were mostly just already obvious. What became interesting about this social contract is the reactions from many people. There is quite a sizable part of the player base that doesn't like this. If not the contract itself, just the way it is being presented. Of course, there are plenty of others, obviously, who have been quick to show their support for this social contract in a quite patronizing, virtue signally kind of way, if we have to be honest. However, I'm gonna try to explain why this social contract is bad. Not because the things in the contract themselves are bad, but because this is essentially nothing. It essentially amounts just to virtue signaling. As people have already started pointing out, this basically means nothing as long as you don't see any actual enforcement happening in the game. And this is also going to be the result of what most people will do with this new social contract. You know, most people will just scroll down, click accept, move on, that's it. So what the social contract says when you first see it, you have the first lines where Blizzard is asking you to do your best to be nicer in game, okay? Besides these suggestions from Blizzard, you also have the latter part of the contract, which has Blizzard say which of these behaviors will no longer be tolerated, they will not be accepted within the game. So obviously in this social contract, quite logical and almost rhetorical things are being pointed out. These are things that already exist in the game as rules to follow, okay? This is not something that is new. This is already existing in your terms of service. You know, if you scroll down 25 pages, you might find all of these little tidbits here and there, but it's already here. It's already in the game. Why I think this social contract is very bad? In the way it looks, okay? The so-called optics of this social contract. It looks bad. Number one, as I said, because it's not new. Pretty much everything in here will already be in the official terms of service of Blizzard. So having this repeated in the middle of the screen as you log in to your character screen, just to tell you, just to reiterate, to not be a shitty person and to behave like a normal human being, reeks of virtue signaling. It doesn't really feel like a honest suggestion. Really? Really? You have to tell me again that I don't have to use hate speech in the game? So it doesn't come out as a very nice message. The second problem is the I guess at this point, the reputation of Blizzard. Because in case you don't know, in case you have been living under 2, maybe even 3 rocks, in the last few months, years even, Blizzard has gone under quite a few lawsuits for sexual harassment, abuse in the workplace, and a series of other terrible behaviors by their developers and their employees. So, you know, the look of this social contract being propped up by Blizzard when you are the company where developers used to steal breast milk from the kitchen fridges, or they used to hire strippers for their parties or fart next to people's desks as a joke, and then you also worry about the Demon Hunter throwing a hissy fit in a +5 key for being abusive behavior, it doesn't sound as honest, it doesn't sound as authentic of a message you're trying to send. before you even fix your own problems as a company. Lastly, you have another problem, which is a much more serious one, okay? The first two are optics problems, okay? The first two are problems in how this looks coming from Blizzard. This problem is actually in-game, because this problem is the enforcement. As some people already pointed out, okay, fine, we get this social contract shoved in our faces, but is anything actually being done in-game? Or are you just showing off? Are you just showing off that you don't accept, you don't allow any of these behaviors in a tidy message at the start of the game, but then you're actually not going to do anything about it? Many people also assumed that this is what players will do. You know, players will just log in, see this new thing in the middle of the screen. They know what to do. They know what to do when they see a wall of text in the middle of the screen. You scroll down with your mouse wheel until you can click accept, and then it goes out of the way. Right? You have learned how to do this from several games, softwares, and whatnot. So that's what people would do normally, right? That's the problem. Blizzard has had quite some lax moderation policies in general about toxicity, about behaviors, about abuse. It's not really quite clear where the hardcore mentality ends and the toxicity begins, for example, when the being a new player ends and being a toxic feeder disrupting your team begins, right? They've always been quite lax with this type of moderation. Not to mention, as we all know, the higher you go in content, the higher you go in the competitive side of the game, the more toxic, so to speak, things become, right? People become more confrontational, they become more aggressive because they expect other people to be at their level, right? To compete at their level, whether it is raiding or it is, for example, high Mythic Plus keys. None of these behaviors have ever been punished by Blizzard or by other players themselves. You know, I have been in keys where people call each other names multiple times and none of them seem to have taken it the wrong way. They just take it on the chin and move on. This has not been a problem in terms of being punished by Blizzard. So now that this social contract is telling you this in the login screen, is actually anything going to be done in-game though? Because if it's not, then this reinforces the point that people don't like about the social contract. It's basically a pinky promise, right? It's basically your mom telling you something, nagging you about not doing that thing again, and you go, yes, mom. You know, that's the equivalent of the social contract. How it feels right now at the very least. And the situation has gotten as bad as it is, or as fragile as it is, because Blizzard has allowed it for a long time to happen. To me, right now, before seeing any further improvements to the actual behaviors being toned down or punished in the game, this just reeks as a hollow announcement done for virtue signaling. You know, this is coupled with this abomination, the diversity tool of King, one of Activision's subsidiaries. You know, it looks like they try to make diversity an RPG game. They try to deconstruct and reformat diversity as if it's something you have to mix and match like a puzzle to get the perfect score, which looks to me like reverse diversity. It looks like the most racist, bigoted, and sexist thing you can do. So the fact that this type of feature has come out recently, and now this social contract is coming out recently, you know, for now it just feels like it's for show. You know, until we actually see in-game something being done related to some of these things that are being pointed out by Blizzard, it won't really amount to anything, I'm afraid. That's why I am totally against this social contract. I am in favor of clicking accept, but then if in-game I see no changes, then I will be quite mad, because it will be the proof that you basically did this just for show, just to get some brownie points, some upvotes, retweets, likes, and whatever else. So I don't have too much hope that this is going to change anything. Enforcing particular behaviors in an MMO is extremely difficult. The way people behave around each other in a high Mythic Plus key is much different than the way people behave when they join a looking for group heroic random dungeon, or perhaps they are in a Mythic Plus 4 key. There seems to be a thicker skin and a higher resistance to toxicity, or at the very least harsh confrontations and tough behaviors from players at higher keys compared to the ones at the lower end. So what is Blizzard gonna do? Are they going to accept the behavior of the high-end competitive players everywhere? Or are they gonna say no, not even at the high level this is acceptable, so we're going to start punishing everyone for this type of behavior? That's why I think it's quite hard to enforce a streamlined behavior from players across all types of content. It's very simple, okay? It's very simple for people to get some upvotes and say just behave like a normal human being, you know, just be nice to people. There are different shades and different layers to human behaviors. You cannot just group up everything in just a very simple line. So that's why I think it's much harder than it looks, which is why I don't think this social contract will lead to anything. But, you know, I'm curious to know what is your take on this. What do you think this is going to change, if it is going to change anything at all, or if it is just, as suspected, a hollow and meaningless type of virtue signaling without really anything to back it up, when it actually comes to seeing the changes that it will bring in-game. So for now, this was the question of today about this social contract. I'm going to leave you to the rest of your weekend, because today is Friday and we are getting into the weekend for this week. Thank you guys again for watching the video and for helping to grow and support the channel in any way you can, which also includes, of course, liking and commenting this video, as well as clicking the subscribe button down below. For today, since this is a video touching everyone, you are all allowed to subscribe to the channel, but you can only do it while using your chin on your mouse to try to click on the button. Thank you guys again, see you guys soon, and in the meantime, no way this social contract is gonna do anything. Can you imagine a +23 pool going wrong, someone saying what the fuck are you doing, Jesus, getting banned for abusive behavior? Never gonna happen.